You're good.
Okay, this is Monday, March 30th, 2026, 5 o'clock. I'm Bruce Rockwood and calling the Town of Damariscotta Historic Preservation Review Commission to order. I'll turn it over to the planner who walks us through what's the agenda.
Thank you. Yeah, so on the agenda, there's no old business, there is new business. And it's just a preliminary application review. Just trying to get, I'm not sure if what has been provided, if you want more information or any, really it's if you need any other documents.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I had trouble, so the only document that I got was the application.
Okay.
I did get the photo, now, but I'm not sure if there was anything else
Yeah.
in.
There was a
So
list of
that's-
documents still needed.
What I think we should do is, I'll go through the documents and then and then you can be, the site plan review ordinance will have a list of well, we need a site plan and we need these documents, right? So we should probably add that to the ordinance at some point. That's a not today issue.
Well, I guess if we're going to make a decision whether or not a waiver of the ordinance or, whether or not there's a need for action on our part, or if you can take care of it under the terms of our ordinance.
Well, and that's basically, we've been in communication. This is Shane, he's the applicant or representing the bank. And I basically wasn't sure. I didn't want to basically be like, no, we need this, we need more. So I figured, I'll bring it to you rather than continuing delay the historic preservation meeting. I'll bring it to you. You all can say, this is enough. This isn't enough. We still want X, Y, and Z. I will say that this meeting was not, public hearing was not noticed for this. So the board really shouldn't take any action today other than kind of providing direction to.
Well, we could,
the
I
applicant.
think, to say that we don't need to take any action if under our ordinance, you as the town planner have determined that it doesn't need a certificate of need.
Right. Well, I think this does. I think I was looking, I don't think this is one of the exempt activities. And so I guess that's.
So does this photograph show where the proposed ATM would go?
Well, let me go through this
Okay,
list of
go through the-
materials and then I'll
applicant.
then maybe the applicant can I give a
Okay,
overview and then we can have the conversation. So what I've got, and I'll make sure that what I sent you all in the email should have been a link to what is on.
Who did you add to it then? Because
add
I did,
something.
the initial email is all I linked to the calendar event. If
That's
you
okay.
updated that, I didn't.
That's all right. If you put the link in there, it's like it's live. So what I provided was a link to this folder here, which is the 2026 March 30th Historic Preservation Commission meeting materials. So when you open that,
I had 4 different things under it,
you should have this.
including a picture. And
Okay.
the plan, the application, and I printed out this documents received, documents still needed.
Yep. And so.
The quick claim deed, the photograph of the location
Right.
and the diagram. Showing
I'm not sure why the only document I got was the findings of
Okay.
fact,
Well,
the draft and application.
So that's what was in here was the link should have the meeting agenda, which you all have a hard copy of right now. And then a folder with the application
Right.
submission, and we'll go through those. And then there's also just a draft of the findings of fact and conclusions of law, which Emily, looks like that's what you've got.
Yeah,
Yes, they would be like that.
But I would say it would be easier when we have meetings like this, if you print out the findings of fact, conclusions of law, that you would like to
Yeah,
have some.
absolutely.
We can do that.
Because some of these, I sometimes run out of paper at home,
Sure, yes, that's.
but also, I find it, I would send us a PDF without all the Dropbox paraphernalia.
It takes a lot more time for me.
Yeah.
And anytime there's changes and things, I mean, fair enough, I know some boards do it that way. But so going forward though, I'm happy to print out the findings of fact, and we can make sure there's a hard. Or not just you, but any applicant can bring a hard copy of the
Right, so-
application to the meeting.
Which, and then the question would be whether we are prepared to act on it or not at this meeting, or will we need to have 2 weeks after doing the public hearing in order to do this?
Well, yes, and we'll talk about,
Okay,
we'll have to schedule the
because if
next.
we conclude that we don't need to take action, then you don't need to close.
No,
it.
that's right,
But if you think, and we think that we do need to like, formally act,
right,
then we need to schedule something when people are available.
yes, and so we can talk about that. So I was just operating under the assumption that you would need another meeting. But we'll talk about, we can review the ordinance and see what's necessary. So the documents that I have that I at least tried to share with you all, but and we'll make sure we get that ironed out is, copy of the application. And you have not seen, okay,
Well, I couldn't copy, it came glass.
just printed black.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it was my printed,
Okay,
I don't know.
no, incorrect, but we can, and then
The
this
same
was,
with the pictures, the
yeah,
black, so I couldn't,
okay.
yeah.
So there was, this was just an application form. And then there was a list that we had put together saying, the documents that we received and the documents that we still needed. And the blue is the applicant's responses. And then there's a picture, which I think this maybe is outdated now, but this image of a ATM. And this picture showing the location, which we have a newer one. So this one I just received today and I put in the folder. This one shows again where it's not just the red box, it's an actual kind of like rendering of what that could look like. And so those are the documents that must be this. Is that it? Oh, I'm sorry. And then there was an image in here and it does have the deed and then part of a survey basically shows the property, which is back here. I'm sure you're all somewhat familiar with the property just from.
Yeah, so have you given notice to all the neighbors? I mean, that's.
No, we have not. We haven't started that. This was before I started moving forward with a public hearing and all of that. I wanted to make sure that the board, if you need any other information or basically any other documents, if there's more information, I imagine that I would be happy to provide, any details, but if you want more documents, that's what I want to make sure of. That we discussed today. So.
And then you have the finding facts.
And then, yes, and then there's a draft findings of facts.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what you want to do?
Sure. My name's Shane, I'm with Main State Credit Union. In the photo, you see that we had just rendered up putting an ATM at that location. That canopy currently there has lighting underneath it, so it would be no addition to lighting there. Just sufficient light for security purposes. What we found interesting is that with what you were saying earlier, Bangor Savings closing, there isn't gonna be an ATM on that strip. And we think it's important anywhere we go for local business. So local business pays 1 to 3.5% on every card transaction. So the more cash the customers have in their pocket, the better it is for business. So putting it there and plus where the entrance for the parking is when people come walk around, that it's just a convenient spot, but not right smack dab in the middle of an entrance to a business. Is kind of off to the side that it would service any walkers that are in there. And you saw this picture is the simplest form that we can go for an ATM without impacting some big extravagant display. And then you saw what we had at another one of our ATMs back in Farmingdale at our operations center, is that we also could do something like that and put the picture of Belfast and Damariscotta and put that around it if that is more attractive. That has lighting with it, but again, we have options, but I figured I'd present you what our simplest form was to have the least amount of impact to the appearance and structure of the building.
And this the bank owns this building now.
Yeah, so currently, the way that, everything's structured is prior to us purchasing this building, I believe it was October, the owner, before had just signed a 2-year lease agreement with Keller Williams.
Mhm.
So I've spoken with Keller Williams and their, leadership team about putting this in there, at that facility. They currently have a lease until 2028 unless they find another place to go. They've asked to, if we wanted to move in, they've asked to rent out one office space there. There's some logistics there we're dealing with, but as we sit today, my goal is to get an ATM in there and work with the tenants on whenever they want to be out.
So am I to understand that you plan to have a Main State Credit Union bank branch here?
Yeah, so that is the next step, and for the planning board is, putting in.
Where are your other locations?
So right now we have a branch that's opening in about 3 or 4 months in Belfast. We had opened one in Rockland 2 years ago. We have a Augusta branch. We also have Waterville branch, and we have one in Gray.
Are you a result of a merger of, say,
No.
more than one prior credit union?
No, so the last merger we had was in 2001 in Waterville. We were originally Main State Employees Credit Union.
Okay,
And honestly, our strategy has been serving the underserved credit union areas that have a limited amount of credit unions in them. So we went into Rockland with only one other credit union. We're in Belfast that only has 2 other credit unions. Down here you have Midcoast Federal Credit Union, Edgecombe, and that's really the only other closest credit union here. So that's, and then we go with our membership. The good thing about Main State is that seems we're employee based originally, Main State employees. They're all across the state, so we're just moving into areas that are underserved by credit unions, but also we have a
should you
membership.
apply credit unions to university campuses,
What's that?
to the university campuses?
We don't usually, because University Credit Union usually takes those.
Oh, they have their own.
Yeah, yeah,
I belong to the Pennsylvania State Employees Credit
There you go.
Union, but it was at the universities that encouraged students to register with them.
Yeah.
To teach them proper credit management
Yeah.
and so forth. So, it's interesting.
yeah.
So I have a question. So, this is just for the ATM. You're not gonna move the bank yet until maybe 2028.
Yeah, as of right now, that would be the latest, right? So if our tenants choose, they know that we are looking to move in when they're ready to move out. We're not in any way trying to get them out of there. They have a lease that's good until 2028. I think it's October 2028. So that'd be the latest we'd move in. But they also said that they were looking for other places. They said they could use one office in that building. But as if you've been in that building, it's only 2 offices. And it's kind of hard to share a financial institution and both regulatory wise for a real estate company plus privacy.
So you don't have an interest just taking over the former TB&T?
We had already bought that building before Bangor. It was like 3 months after that Bangor had.
So you've got a building.
Yeah, so really that other building's much larger than what we would look to house.
Did you explore other positioning for the ATM? Like there's an alley on the side and there's the whole back. I mean, I think that's the biggest question
Sure.
as it pertains to us is it's a very visible spot for an illuminated ATM and it will certainly have some impact on the historic nature of the downtown. So did you explore other locations?
Yeah, so the alley isn't great because there's a lot of water runoff in that alley. And quite frankly, like security wise, it's not great to have it tucked in behind somewhere. So that's one piece. In the back, that is also an optional place, just a matter of someone coming and walking up the deck, and that's kind of the other part of this conversation too. There's a deck out back that needs to be replaced. It's weathered, and that was part of my conversation with Michael about like updating that, not making it any bigger, but replace the structure that currently exists. That's also an option. It wasn't our first option, only because, again, just coming up to the building, it wouldn't be handicap accessible in the back. People wouldn't be able to walk up the steps to get to it.
There's not room to build a ramp up to the.
So that would come out into the parking lot. to be honest with you, I haven't measured it, but it would also impede on those parking spaces out back in order to run that ramp long enough, where out front it's handicap
Yeah,
accessible.
there's I think three parking spaces there reserved to the.
Yeah,
Building.
my understanding that was in agreement with the prior owner when they built that parking lot out back, giving up some of his lots to the city
Mhm.
in exchange for those 4 parking spots that's maintained by the city.
Right.
But I worry about those spots, that's all.
Couldn't you do the ramp parallel to the building right up flush and it wouldn't take away parking spots?
It would just be a change of that deck and that patio out back.
In other words, you don't have to lose the parking spots.
Yeah.
Depending on whether you have it coming out or whether you want it parallel flush to the building, that also would provide coverage for anybody walking up, should the weather be inclement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we just had, I hadn't looked.
Yeah.
For ADA requirements or anything like that, what that ramp would look like, that's all.
I have a question about my reading of this plan is that this is the rear property line. It's not squared off like down here. This is not the property line, right? Is it this?
So my understanding based off the previous owner and at closing, that actually the property line has shifted to about at the end of this building.
Okay,
And
so,
that was based off the reconfiguration of that parking lot out back.
okay, that's, so, and I just mentioned that as like, it's not as, there is space, but at some point you would
Sure.
start going on to public or
Sure.
other property, so,
Hmm.
but,
And you'd only need 36 inches coming out to be ADA compliant on that ramp.
Yeah, I think it would just be the pitch per distance to get up to that point of the height of that building, that's all. In my, the lighting, that's, one of the reasons why I went with the rendering with the most simplistic piece of it, because, when I originally talked to Michael and reading the ordinance, right, lighting's the big deal, in there. And that's why he and Michael had asked about, would we have increased lighting under that awning? Those awnings currently have lighting underneath them. So it wouldn't cause any increase as long as it was feasible for security purposes of the camera within the ATM itself.
Could you envision having a shutter or something that comes down at night so that you don't have that light glaring out all the time from the ATM?
You mean here?
Yeah.
Covering it
exactly.
like wooden, something that,
That right
Yeah.
there, so.
Exactly.
I would work with the vendor to make sure that that light wasn't there, that it was actually this light coming from under over to the screen instead of coming out from the ATM. As well as, this isn't the exact model that we would purchase, but it would allow us to, some of them are even have that, security screen, so when you stand angle, you can't even see the blue screen on it.
Meaning they're touch activated.
Yeah, it's not touch activated, but like kind of when you put a privacy screen on your computer,
Yeah.
you're not sitting straight in front of it. You can't see the light from the screen.
Yeah.
Just for security purposes.
so-
yeah, I for one would be interested to know about the feasibility of just alternate placement.
Sure.
So maybe the best thing to guide the conversation is go through the findings, because what I've done is I've gone through the ordinance and tried to pull out anything that's relevant, and I
Yeah.
don't necessarily expect you to read every, there's a lot of text in here, but I highlighted some of the main points, and we can come back to like the purpose and intent if we think that's valuable, but Bruce, you brought up a certificate of appropriateness, and what it says, what I found here says the owner applicant of a property of the Main Street Historic District who proposes to undertake any activity that will change the design, material, scale, color, or location of the exterior building features of a property in the district. So that one,
It's in addition to the facing the main street.
and it-
So it's within.
right, and that's it, just, it's an alteration of a building or structure.
Right.
And then there are exempt activities which we can go through, but I didn't see, interior alterations. not this. Installation of temporary buildings or structures, no. Landscaping, no.
It's not a window, but it's sort of similar in that respect, in the sense that it's a.
I would say it's
outfacing.
similar,
Yeah,
with the
so,
lighting and the technology, I would,
Yeah.
it's more,
so I guess
So let's
is
assume-
my assumption fair that this is not something that like the town, it's not an exempt activity and it's gonna need historic preservation
Yeah.
review of that.
See, okay,
Is that
so
fair? Okay.
whenever we get to acting on it,
That's, and I think we can have the conversation and, I mean, even if you in your head are coming to some kind of a decision, I would say what I would recommend to the board is, to the commission, is that, have whatever conversations and then let's not make any formal decisions or take any formal action until the next meeting, which is, we'll have to have we'll
Public.
notice a public hearing and all of that, so.
well, they're also, the planning board would also have to take a decision.
Yes,
So it might make sense to have us meet the same day as the planning board when it comes to making a decision. Because we could come in here an hour early.
oh, I see, you could, I mean, your view, the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Board, not that they're, I mean, it's the same application, but they have,
Different roles.
you look at one ordinance, they look at a completely different
Right.
set of ordinances, really. So,
I just don't want to delay unnecessarily.
oh, sure,
Being able to make a decision.
yeah, no, I think, and that's why I try to move these, kind of separately, so that it's like the historic preservation, planning board can meet even before the historic preservation makes a decision, and the historic preservation can make a decision before or after the planning board, so that way it doesn't
Okay.
drag out, you don't miss a whole month. So I think that a lot of the questions that we'll need to discuss is on page 4 of 7 of the of the findings of fact.
Okay, so then, do you have an extra printed copy?
I don't, but do you have one?
I have the copy I'm working from, but I can go print one.
Yeah, does anybody else want
Anybody
a
else
hard
want
copy?
I think it would be nice.
Do
Okay.
you have one, Emily, and
I
that you have one? Okay, so can we just get 2, please? Thank you
Hold the
very.
mayor,
What's that?
hold the mayor.
Yes. Let me I'll open it up here and we can discuss. So I think maybe what I would recommend is go through this, if we go through the standards and you say, okay, you can kind of just determine what information might be necessary so the applicant can go get whatever information is necessary,
Sure.
provide it at least at the next meeting, if not before, and that way you can all,
Well, you're gonna put a ATM in the existing framed out structure. Are you making any changes for the overall look and feel of the building itself?
No, we're not touching the siding or color,
Okay.
structure.
Shingles, what have you.
Yeah, no, not touching any of that.
so this would be the ATM. I imagine you can replace the awnings, but
Yeah, the awnings will change when we move in.
yeah.
Well, we'll leave it as Keller Williams as long as they're there, but when we move in, we'll change the awnings to our name, but we don't look to make them any bigger. We know the company that put those in, we work with them, so we'll.
That I think, I know right now we're talking about the ATM and possibly the deck, and we can discuss whether or not that's like, if it's the rear of the building, we'll have to see if it's applicable, but I don't know.
I don't think that's our. purview.
Yeah, that's, and so we can look, and then what I wanna do is save you a trip to to have to come back, whatever changes you wanna make, like, let's.
And I think you had mentioned that right now for this meeting, but the application all being one for the change of use with the planning board also.
Yeah, so, and that one we can talk about, because if you're not moving into until 2000, potentially till 2029, that, we can talk about when and what you want to apply for with the planning board, but that's a
From a
separate.
jewelry
thing.
store to a realtor to a bank.
Well, it's the downtown, it's changing, that's what they do, right, so. So The approval stands for obtaining a certificate of appropriateness. I think that page 4, which, sorry, I forgot, we're waiting. Leslie's bringing the copy, but we can go through and see
What is
just
it?
generally.
Just read it out.
What, yeah, I can start reading and when. In reviewing and approving applications for a certificate of appropriateness, the HPRC will consider and take into account the Secretary of Interior Standards. Focus, activities that are visible from public streets or ways, including the following standard. Okay, so here are the active standards that we've got here. One is all structures and sites shall be recognized as products of their own time. Thank you very much.
Needs,
Okay, thank you.
you guys both are up that?
Yeah, you do. So it does say property will be used as it was historically, or be given a new use that requires minimal changes to its distinctive materials, features, spaces, and spatial relationships. This is why I want to make sure we nail down so what are we?
So you're at 107.2.
107.11. That,
Okay.
yes. Okay, so the historic and or neighborhood significance of the property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alteration of features, spaces, spatial relationships that characterize the property will be avoided.
I guess the question is an ATM, is it inconsistent with the distinctive appearance of the rest of the building?
Right, yeah, that would be, something that you all. No, I guess that's. For distinctive materials, features, finishes, and construction techniques are example of craftsmanship that characterize the property will be preserved. Deteriorated historic features, this one, I mean, maybe the deck, but. I don't know.
I guess the question, that the deck at back could be replaced with a better deck with a ramp, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'd want to put the ATM there. I guess it's the question of the parking lot. If it's not illuminated at night, there is the issue of security. For people taking money out of the bank.
Right.
Or is it, but on the other hand, the question is on the main street, do you think the lighting of the ATM would be deteriorating? Deterring from the.
You could put in a motion, no activated light in the back for this.
In the back, you mean?
Or the front, for that matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have a neo-colonial version of an ATM machine?
I wish.
So then the next 5 talks about chemical or physical treatments, which I don't think are proposed here, and then archaeological resources.
No, that's not
Which
relevant.
isn't I don't think applicable here. 7 says new additions, exterior alterations or related new construction will not destroy historic materials, features and spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with historic materials, feature, size, scale, proportion, and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment.
So that's maybe the main one.
Right.
In terms of, would an ATM somehow detract from the historic district? I'm not inclined to think it would, but.
As presented, I'm inclined to think it would. I am wondering if there is a way to make it less so, and I think that kind of constant background glow all night long is
Well, that's a good point.
Well, that's why I suggested having some sort of shutter,
It could be closed or something.
so that you don't, although he did say you have the screen that blacks out or dark blues out.
Yeah.
For it, but still you have that glass feature in the middle that is totally inconsistent with the historic.
What is the current Bangor savings ATM?
It's
They're
like,
in the-
it's right like
Inside.
You go in the door.
What's the drive-through one?
There's one- yeah, there's the one in the drive-through.
Yeah, does that have?
No, I mean, it's
It's
exposed, it's
exposed.
the base.
It's not as visually impactful because it's placement is on the side and it's already a drive-through, you know, so it's like. And the same at
First bank.
the First National Bank,
Yeah.
I don't think the First National Bank's in the historic district, but.
No.
Yeah.
but just like, you know,
Yeah.
generally,
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess the question is like, it's when it goes on to the next page, which is, I guess, eight, I guess, is it eight? Yeah, so,
Five is the next,
or B, top of page five.
yeah,
Five, new additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that if removed, in the future, the essential form integrity of the property will be unimpaired. So the question is, can you make changes under seven that are consistent with the overall look and feel? And then they could be removed if you later decided not to have it there. I guess the question is it the lighting that is most concerns you guys?
I think I would love to see a closer, like something that's a little more detailed. You said this is kind of like a basic.
Sure.
Mock-up with the simplest design or simplest
Yeah.
model, but maybe something that.
Do you mind going to the one that, the bigger one that has?
okay.
I might add, if you look at it, just look at the picture immediately, the first thing you see is that.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
Sure,
Is it, this one?
yeah,
Okay.
so. What's
That's-
that?
I said, that's worse.
Right, yeah, that's worse, but, I was just bringing this out as this is, if you take this section right here. Right, take out the main state piece. This is what, without any graphics or anything on it. That's a more realistic look, and that's the screen you're talking about straight on, that if you're off to the side, you can't see because it doesn't light up. I totally understand what you're saying about blacking it out, or if there's a motion piece of that, I definitely can look into that. But this is more of what, just the gray piece of what the ATM.
So does it come in other casements?
Yeah.
Other than white or gray?
Yeah, that's great. I'd have to double check, just the standard ones we put in our buildings are gray because our buildings are gray.
Yeah.
So I can definitely look into that.
Oh.
Well, most of the stores downtown would be closed at night in any event, so the need for cash
Sure.
in hand would be strictly for illicit
Restaurant.
purposes. So, it maybe just not eliminated.
Well, then that's a safety concern. Or,
No, well,
Or say, you know, like we have, does the sign ordinance have a turn off lights by a certain time of night?
After business hours, I think is, well, it's not the sign ordinance, it was the site plan review ordinance stuff.
Okay. But that was probably done.
but that would be for restaurants also, so how late does Ida stay open in the River Grill?
They generally stop at
Or at
night.
least River Grill,
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the time of year, but like 8, 9, I think is
So I guess
when that kitchen.
to be
closes, right?
consistent, I guess, there'd be less interference with the look and feel of Main Street generally. If we had the same hours apply to an ATM machine as would apply to any restaurant.
Well, I don't believe there's anything that stops a restaurant from operating.
I wondered about that.
but a restaurant has to have lighting for the safety of their clients until they actually like up at the public house, which is different.
Right,
Yeah,
But the bottom, we have lighting up there till 11.
so,
Yeah,
so
and that-
would you think that it would be unreasonable to have till 11 at the ATM machine?
Well, I'm just more concerned with putting modern technology with it, it doesn't fit.
agree,
Okay.
I
yeah.
agree, that's what I'm seeing over here, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
So
would be
maybe-
very interested to see if there are alternate mock-ups
Yeah.
or alternate
Yes,
locations that that you explore further as. You know,
Sure,
I-
so a couple things, I guess my question to you is, if it's out back, these things aren't a concern to you?
No. they're not even our purview, I don't believe,
No.
because it's not visible from Main Street.
So what if it was on the side of the building, seems it's not on the front of the building?
That would be, and my understanding is that
That would
would
be
be
better.
because it's
It's visible from the street.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any space there in that
What
little
about just,
screen.
what about putting inside, having another set of doors? Just throwing up something on the entrance to the building like a lot of banks do,
Right,
and just having it inside in the interior.
So, part of that reason is because then only, that ATM will only service our members, it won't service the community. You would have to have our card to swipe, so for Bangor Savings, were you able to use other
No,
bank
what I'm
cards?
saying is, you have a vestibule.
Sure,
The interior door would be swiped to get in. The exterior door would be accessible to the public also. So you walk in the first, you wall it off, simple construction project. I mean, that's,
yeah,
2 days you can throw this thing together. And then on the inside, in the vestibule, you would have it on one of your walls, probably on your left-hand wall when they walk in, you'd have a little countertop and et cetera, whatever it is and that would get it out of view on the street. And quite honestly, it would be more secure in there.
so the
You know?
problem of leaving that front door, so you'd have to leave some door unlocked.
That would be the front door, but
Right.
what you would do is you would take the entrance.
Yep.
You reframe it, so you have an interior door with a member swipe.
Mhm.
And then you have the exterior door, which would be for members and the public that could come in and use that. Just like if you were at the first and you go to their drive out one there, the public can access that 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I assume what you're describing is similar to what Bangor Savings has, and I've seen it other places, so
Yeah,
it's just an
right.
example, and
Yeah.
is.
Bank of America does that.
There's an exterior door which does lock at night, but you can just put your, any card, if you just swipe a card, it unlocks.
any bank card,
And then
Not
you go
just-
in and then you can act the ATM, and then the next door would be open during business hours and then would lock in. I don't know if you have a swipe or whatever, whatever security you all.
But even
Is that
the
what you're talking
exterior
about?
door doesn't have to even have the swipe on it. It can be locked manually from the inside. But otherwise, that would be sort of like the same with a member. You'd have to have that card to swipe to get at the money.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I guess. There are options, right, you could just leave that door open.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have. I mean, Damariscotta is not known for people sleeping in doorways, but if people were concerned about the security issue of someone going in. You can make it so you can swipe and. You can get into the ATM, otherwise blocks, but,
I guess.
so I think that's what you're describing.
I'm not with a lock unless you did a universal ATM Yankee 24 type card that any card from any bank would open it.
I think that's how
Yeah.
I think that's how the Bangor Savings
Yeah.
one, and I think I've seen that in other places, like it's a thing that happens.
I guess that would mean though, entailing an agreement with Keller Realty, if they're gonna stay there and you want to do this sooner rather than
Right,
later.
right, and honestly, we don't have a lot of interest in, that's a beautiful building on the inside to create more. Construction on the inside, like our goal, even when we roll out this building, is not creating construction on the inside, it's because of the historic on the inside of the two buildings that came together. So we
No.
really don't plan to do a lot.
And that, yeah, and
As we like the building as it is.
And that's like I appreciate the like workshopping, the attempt to like. Find a solution, but what the. Commission will review ultimately is like what's being proposed and it's an approval or denial. Or approval with conditions, but it's basically one of those.
Okay.
So can't really say you will do it.
So I think
You
it's
may.
fair to say that we're concerned about the visual impact of the illuminated ATM. What can you do to help us with that?
And you wanna see some different options potentially, and then. And then assessing for us different locations on the building to put the ATM.
I think that's one of the main really issues, at least for me, I'm gonna see it right from my window, and not only that, but when I see it over here, this is not really a very safe place to put to people be congregated there, I don't know, I feel like it's not. I'm seeing many people being hit by cars in that corner.
Well, I will say, I mean, I don't think there's too many, I don't think there'll be on the sidewalks, hopefully don't move it by car, but there is the tactile, the ramp, right, the crosswalk right there, and I can't really quite picture it, but like if someone's standing at the ATM, I imagine there's room to get around them, but how, are they standing like on the curb at that tactile pad there?
Yeah,
You know,
So I think like just how is that gonna impact the circulation of?
What is in between these two buildings here in this wall right here?
That's open.
That's
That's an
open space.
Open space.
So that really wouldn't impact the interior if you did the exterior entrance there, through in two doors. And then a wall for a swipe to get into the work, or
Yeah.
not even anything.
Yeah, I don't, yeah,
Just
that
solid.
goes into open office space and into the flow of the building. It's, then you're talking about structural. Interior, you're cutting up the interior purpose of the building.
Right.
Can I make a point on page 5 under paragraph C. One subparagraph 3, I appendages. And I'm thinking that an ATM isn't listed here, but it's really an appendage. It says appendages to the structure, such as solar collectors, antennas, heat pump inverters, and satellite dishes should be located to minimize the visual impact on the historical building and should be attached in a manner that does not damage the historic materials and is completely reversible. I think of an ATM is like an appendage.
Okay, and then, you know,
Yeah.
does that sound right? Totally, okay,
I-
so I was like, it's not one of those, but now that
Yeah.
what you're saying, I think makes sense, so.
Or we can at least think about it in those terms, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps us anywhere, but I mean, it gives us something to think about.
Yeah, no, that is helpful. So construction of an addition to a contributing building and or structure. So
I don't think we have.
is it an
another-
addition? I feel like it's not an addition.
Well, adding an ATM is
Like a-
adding an
It's
appendage.
an alteration.
Yes, yeah, but what I'm saying is like, there's standards in here that talk about additions to buildings.
No.
I don't think it's an addition to a building,
No.
it's an alteration, it's an
You're not,
appendage.
you're not adding square footage to it.
Right, that's, okay. I say that to like, okay, we can not worry about addition, regulations of additions. Construction of an accessory building, this isn't an accessory building. It's not relocating a contributing building or structure. Alteration, placement, construction, or removal of significant site features on the site of a contributing building or structure, that. Nothing being really removed, other than some siding, I would guess. New parking areas, no, new driveway locations, no. Not proposing to demolish anything, I mean, I imagine there'd be some,
I
demo to
suppose
open up that wall, but it's not.
if you were
demo.
putting a new handicapped accessible ramp out back and adjusting the parking spaces, that would become relevant.
New parking area should be located, I mean.
I'm just thinking that it might be triggered by.
are we to, are,
It doesn't, I haven't found anything that says like very clearly, like, what I found is in terms of, I assume, sorry,
That's fine.
I'm trying to anticipate what you're gonna say,
Yeah.
Emily. Is that the applicability is the ordinance shall initially apply to all the properties in the Main Street Historic District. Does it say anything about like the rear?
No, it
I-
doesn't I'm assuming that it's the facade to the main street,
Right,
to the parking lot.
And
I
then
would be comfortable with that.
yeah, I have. Yeah, I thought it was. Maybe. We haven't had anything, well. Barely had anything come up, but we haven't had anything that's come up. Behind Main Street, so,
So maybe, that's,
but either way, I think that would be, speaking for myself, of less, less
Intrusive,
notable
yeah.
concern for my purposes on this commission.
okay, is there anything else that you wanted to tell us about our proposal? That we met?
No, I have some takeaways here, for. Different options, colors, lighting. As well as if we would look into different locations for the ATM on the building. if we anticipate any of that in the back. I guess I do have want some clarity around the deck in the ramp, is that this group, this commission, or is this the planning board?
It'll be planning board, but then it sounds like
We're just thinking if you did it out back, we wouldn't have a say about that as such. But it would avoid the problem of what we do have a say about out front.
And I guess my other question is. I don't. I'll provide you all the options and the lighting that,
Give us some photos of different possible things you've done in the past that wouldn't be all that expensive
well,
to do.
what I would say is what the commission reviews is the application as proposed and not pick which one they like the best. And so, and I'm happy to have that conversation, but I just want to make sure that it's not
Sure.
that the commission is basically thumbs up or thumbs down of what the applicant proposes. Hopefully, this is somewhat illuminating in terms of things that are going to be considered and concerns that they have, and you can put together an application that you think will go through. But I don't want the board to say like, if you remove this, then we'll say yes, or if you change the color of that, then yes, because.
But my thought is that you could come to us with if you have more than one possible thing that you're willing to go with. You can see which is, you could ask our opinion about it then.
Well, the bottom line is, does it go by what the?
It's does it meet the ordinance or not is the question.
The question I have, did you guys do a feasibility study in terms of how many people actually within this area, 10 miles out, 15 or whatever, are currently customers?
yeah, we have it, for the county. I don't have that with me. It would have been something I had more for the planning board.
Yeah.
Piece, not for the ATM piece, because the ATM can service anybody, not just our members. So I wouldn't have that for this.
No, but for the bank itself.
Yeah, I have that. We do have that information. I don't have that with me.
I mean, it must be something, otherwise you wouldn't justify the.
Yeah, I don't recall what that number is. I couldn't tell you if it was 600 or if it was 1,200 members in this county that we service. Because like I said, the ATM will service anybody, so I didn't really plan that for this.
I hope it's more than-
And the question of use is planning board.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah.
So I mean, it's entirely possible that you all say, yeah, this fits with historic character, and then the planning board says that use can't go here, or vice versa,
Yeah.
right? So.
When you say that, use, you mean ATM use or financial institution?
It just more just general, like, that.
They don't have to agree on the same decision.
Yeah, well, right,
They're
you're
different
considering two different things, right?
Yeah.
You're considering historical
Yeah.
appropriateness, and
Right.
they're considering
But
is the
the
use.
the change of use is the planning board.
Right,
And it's a change of use for this location, but right across the street, there used to be a bank and now that'll be something else.
right.
So everything
Yes.
is evolving.
So that's that, I guess I'm just, I wanna make sure that this commission stays, it's considering the things that this commission is supposed to consider.
We stay in our.
Planning board
Well, I guess,
considers the things.
why don't you let us know when you're ready to proceed?
Well, or would you like to? I think we're gonna need at least. What I like to kind of line up is, we're gonna have to put notice in the newspaper, probably like for 2 weeks
Yeah.
before a public hearing and all that.
Yeah.
And, so in an effort to just not like waste time.
Yeah,
and Get to it. If you.
But that's only for the planning, that's not for the historic, is it?
I think
If the public can override and redefine what is,
Well,
what,
no, they just have a right
No.
to be here.
All right,
Yeah.
right, the public hearing, it is for the public to make comments,
Yeah.
not even really to ask questions. I
Okay.
mean, they're welcome to ask questions and you're welcome to answer them, but that's kind of up to the board's discretion. But a public hearing, the public has to be allowed to comment. And I think I kind of skipped over where was it? Oh, the procedure. Actually, I didn't even put it in here, because I'm just gonna make sure that I deal with it and I'll include it, and I'm pretty sure it does require a public hearing. I'll put those in for the next meeting, but what I guess I can present this, I can put this to you is I'd be happy to schedule the next meeting now, if you say you wanna go and see what might take time and get back to me and say, well, we can do that, however. Whatever you want and however everybody wants to
So,
operate.
Yeah, so I guess just a couple things. I wanna make sure I provide you with whatever you need to decide. Maybe you already have everything you need to decide.
Right, right,
For us, I already have an agreement for Keller Williams that whenever I get an okay, whether it's in the front or the back, whatever it may be, I am ready to proceed with them on figuring something, well, we've already figured out how that transition is gonna work on a space within that building, because all, that ATM has to be serviced from inside the building for security purposes.
right.
So I've already talked to Keller Williams, I'll have that. So I just wanna make sure you guys have what you need to make a decision on what you guys are supposed to make a decision, on, right? So that's what I just wanna make sure you have. So either you have everything you need from today, and that's fine, or if you need additional things, I can get you that by the end of the week, but I just need to know what those additional things are, because
Right.
you're saying that you don't want them to have to pick from 5 different options that you can do this, that, or this.
Hmm.
So I'm just not sure what else you
Well, I
want.
think,
Well, I think we'd like to review the options, because obviously we have to make a decision whether that impacts. You know, what we've been talking about.
But what I'm saying is that the applicant it submits one application.
Right.
And it's not a variety of so the applicant's going to provide the application that they probably hope and think meets the ordinance, and then the planning, the Historic Preservation Commission says yes or no. It does or it doesn't meet it, and it's because it's not a matter of gradation, like this one meets it more or not, it's
Okay.
does it meet it, does it not?
Is there
Well,
anything
did
from,
that.
the lighting issue
No.
is something that planning board also addresses under.
Yeah, that'll be under a site plan when not for,
But that, in terms
for
of,
the I mean, yes.
So
for the
my
18,
question is-
Probably, it's,
I think,
My question, I'm sorry, my question is. If they submit one proposal and it does not meet with us, then they come back and submit another proposal.
essentially, they can,
That's
yes.
not very time efficient.
I think it would be
So-
useful
But, you
though,
know,
if you have. You suggested that there's more than one. Display that and they're fairly similar but somewhat different. If you could just send us a couple of pictures of
That's
those.
not,
Yeah.
that's not how, the planning board doesn't get to say we like this one better. The historic preservation gets to say, your application meets the ordinance, your application doesn't meet the ordinance.
I don't think it does, as it is right now.
Okay, well, but let's not commit to those decisions just yet.
Well, let's turn it around and say that, having listened to us, Kibitz on this, give us when you do your application, give it the best shot.
Yeah.
what other things in my application do you need that you
Yeah,
don't currently have?
is there more information that has not been provided
Right.
that you want? And I think there were a couple, I'm trying to remember, like,
The brightness at night is the question.
That's no,
no, that's one, I mean, that's one thing to discuss, sure.
If I were you,
Sure,
I would. Change hats. You've heard what we've been saying about the different things. If you were sitting where I'm sitting, or Mike, or anybody who's sitting up here sitting, what would you, from what you've heard today, glean from this, what would you approve?
so well, I think are there any other documents?
Yeah.
That you all can identify that you need, or is the information that you've got here? Is it enough to make a decision? If you say, I need to know what the lighting level is gonna be in lumens, or I need to know what the specific material of the
Yes,
whatever.
I would like a more not a generic, this is the simplest ATM, but
Sure.
this is what it will look like.
Measurements.
Measurements,
Lighting.
materials,
Materials, color materials, all like that.
lighting, blue light.
Cause
So we'll know what it looks like on the location it will be located at.
Yes, but
That look,
What it
So when I do this,
Specifically.
I will get it right from the supplier. I'm gonna remove the picture of it because it's really not a picture inside of a building. It's like a picture of the whole unit.
Sure,
So
well,
it just doesn't make,
it'll be,
it's
well,
not
then,
realistic what you're actually gonna see.
well, but I think that you
So
said, well,
you want the measurements of what's gonna be exposed.
And
Right,
a
to the
mock-up of how
Yeah,
it will
whatever's on
look,
the inside
Yes.
of the buildings
frame
are relevant.
and
Okay, perfect.
in
That's
the
what I was.
location that you.
That
would be great.
post.
I was gonna say, if you, no, it's what you need, because what the board, once you won't review all this, and we get to the point where like the board is ready to say, okay, we think we can start making decisions, the first thing you're gonna do is say, yes, this application is complete, we don't need any more information. We have enough information to make a decision,
I think we do.
so,
Subject to.
Yes, 107C. Three, well, 107B. I'm sorry, 107A7, 107B, 107C3, and C7, I think. And are the sections, I'm sorry, yeah, 107.11,
okay.
yeah.
It-
A7,
Those are the.
B, C3, and C7 are what I really want some more clarity on, so that includes
Can you
materials.
say those again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Meaning materials for practical.
This is all under section
All under-
107.11,
Yes,
right?
107.11,
Yeah.
well. The ones that have caught my attention most are A7.
Okay.
B. C3 and C7. So it's visual impact, materials, reversibility. I mean, you can do, I assume that you have this to see,
The ordinance, well, this was
Okay.
I shared,
yeah,
yeah, and I can make sure that, I give you the ones that, I mean, it's verified.
personally,
That's
I don't
very
know if
helpful.
anybody else has,
That's good.
if there's another section that. We'd like to draw.
And by C3, you mean the appendages.
No, on page 5
Page
up
5.
here, yeah, that's.
Yes, yep.
Yes, yes, that one.
Yep.
Right there.
And
Materials.
and materials, yeah, that's,
Oh, I'm sorry, appendages, I thought you
Yeah.
were saying appendix.
Oh.
Yes, appendages, no, that's, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so there is some image of what is going to be seen on the outside of the building with the ATM.
yeah,
Assuming it's on the front.
Yeah, which is, I think, what's being proposed, and then,
well,
As-
but but C3 should be located to minimize visual impact on the historic building.
so I think that, so the question that the planning board's gonna have to answer is the appendage located to minimize the visual impact on the historic building?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's
The
the,
attachment manner.
and so that, you gotta say yes, no, right?
right, yeah,
So, okay, so we've got at least an image, we've got those items under 107.11 that to focus at. Is there anything else that you may want information or materials on to help you make a decision? At the next meeting, obviously. Okay, so
So this is not gonna include any ramp, deck, building. This is all for our first proposal of the front of the building.
Okay.
If
I
you,
think if you go back and read through the items and.
Because the
Think about-
plan would be way different. Those look like two totally different proposals. Of one in the front and one.
Its location, yeah.
Right, so I just wanna make sure, if we're going down the path, I might as well just make the proposal for where I want it.
right,
You make that decision, if you're just like, no, then I gotta go back through the process for proposal number 2, which would be in the rear of the building.
right.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not a multiple choice.
No, I just wanna make sure that I'm doing what you guys feel is like the right way for you guys to handle it.
Procedurally, yes.
Okay.
Now, if you're like, speed is the priority, you could always just propose in the back and,
Sure.
right? But so that's,
And
or
we have nothing to
both,
say about that.
but,
Time is of the essence for.
yeah, which I.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah, there's no fire, but,
An ATM is not a profitable
Huge
thing to
moneymaker.
provide service,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not, I just wanna make sure you guys have what you need to make a decision and then I know what my next steps are if I need to do something different.
okay,
I just don't wanna do like two,
yeah.
clear it all into one and confuse
Yeah.
anything.
So there is the question, it sound. Is the board basically finding that the deck, the back of the building is not under the board's purview? The rear of the building is not something that the historic,
That was my understanding.
if that's,
Yes,
Yeah.
if you put it there, we
It doesn't
doesn't worry about it being stored,
In fact,
it's just if you put it there, then it will be out front. I mean, it's just like it,
I guess so my question is for the deck, let's say the ATM is. Let's say the ATM is proposed to be on the front, let's just make that assumption, and then in the same application, or separate, doesn't really matter, but if. No ATM is proposed at the back, changes to the deck, is that fall under the purview of
no,
this ordinance?
My understanding is no.
No,
There's no, okay, so then, that's great,
So my assumption is that I'm gonna I am gonna propose this for the front.
okay.
If it is denied, then what is this going in front of the planning board for the back if it doesn't fall under the scrutiny?
Right, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It won't come back to
but is
this,
there an existing deck there in the back?
there is, yeah,
Okay, so probably it may not because it's a modification.
right.
Yeah.
That's why I say, I'll check about the applicability of site plan review, but it sounds
I
to
don't-
me like.
Yeah, I don't think you can see the deck from Main Street.
No,
No.
you're able to see a little bit when, like, in between the
yeah.
buildings, the right angle there, but,
It's, yeah.
so, but that's totally fine, I just wanna
My
make sure that.
Bruce, you would know best.
well, I'm thinking that. We may at a later date, not on this issue. If. Someone takes the historic buildings that are primarily facing front, but installs modern new offices facing the waterfront. At that point, it's within the historic district looking both ways. And then we might wanna say that certain kind of alterations
So,
But
turn it
as,
into being historic.
so that's why I'm at, that's,
This
the
would
question is this ordinance applicable basically to the backs of buildings?
I don't wanna make a categorical exclusion at this point in time. My inclination is to say that it's case by case, it would not apply to this little deck. But it might apply to something if there was. I don't wanna I don't wanna go into hypotheticals at this point, I'm just saying. We can have that question reserved,
Okay,
I may be wrong on that, but.
You're probably gonna wanna put a ramp and everything, you're gonna have older people coming in from the back parking lot, they're not gonna wanna walk all the way up the alley and stuff to the front of the building anyway.
Well, they're
It's gonna be
gonna,
much more
if they park in the parking lot, they're gonna go into the main street to shop,
Right.
Or if they're just coming to the bank, they're not going to though.
okay.
Yeah.
okay, so
That's
I think we've just, is it, no other materials, you've got what?
I know what I need to provide, materials, look, color, a 10711 C3B.
Yes, and I'll nail those down with
Make it
you.
look really
Yeah.
nice.
So then,
I appreciate it.
would you like to schedule the next meeting?
Yeah, sure.
That's fine, I wanna get my
Does the
calendar.
would the board like to schedule that as well? Okay, so if, I'm gonna say you'll get. By Monday, you can get whatever updated materials to me.
Yeah, I should, today's only Monday.
Yeah, so, and that means and for me, I'm also just thinking, that means on Monday, I'll be able to say, yes, you're ready, I got these materials, we can notice the paper so that it's in there.
Yeah.
And that would put, so let's see, that would be on the 6th, we would be able to say, go ahead, if it's in the newspaper, the 8th and the 15th, we can.
I don't know when the
The
budget
20
hearing and stuff either, so we don't. wanna
The 20,
into
we
that.
could target the 27th for the next meeting, April 27th. Oh, I say because Patriots Day on April 20th, the office is closed.
Okay.
So does the 27th work?
I don't have anything on my calendar at this point.
I think that is also free here. So. So if that works, then we'll assume that that's
Five.
5 o'clock, 5 p.m. here on the 27th, and I'll send you all an invite as well. But on Monday, we'll know for sure, and because I'll be able to send out the public notice. Okay? Okay,
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
great.
PDFs to you
Yeah,
for all the things.
that seems to be the best,
Yeah.
most,
I think that's what happened with my attachments, because the PDF I got and the PDF of the agenda I got, but the other, like the
Yeah.
photos and the
Well,
other,
probably
stuff,
in
I think
doc.
there was something else, yeah,
Sure.
I'm not sure why.
oh, there was one JPEG. Okay, well,
I looked at the.
That could be a glitch on our end.
yeah,
How we got stuck up there.
and yeah, so
Okay, so,
we'll make sure that we get that.
so the new business is concluded. I just want to, before we take a motion for adjournment, say that other business that I'd like us not to forget about and address at a next regular meeting would be, what's the status of the museum and the street proposal? Is that being considered by the people who are implementing the comprehensive plan? And what is the relationship of the commission to the comprehensive plan? If they're making steps to implementation, let us know what they're doing that relates to the historic district. And in particular, let us not forget, ultimately certified local government is one of our objectives. And
Yes,
and so I'm not gonna do it immediately, but I wanna make sure it's on the agenda to discuss, find out what's going on at our next meeting.
Well,
So-
yeah, I have volunteered to be the liaison,
and there was.
but they're on Tuesdays at 3, right? Is that the?
No, no, well, I think I can tell you when the next meeting is, you
Yeah,
are welcome
you
to
guys
stay.
are-
Yes.
Thank you,
so
thank you,
much.
we appreciate your time.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Don't take it back.
Thank you. I would have too.
So comprehensive plan implementation committee has met twice. The first one was very much just to like meet, say hello, you're all on the committee. The second one, there was a little bit of business. I know Emily was out of town. She was not the only person that could have been there. Well, everybody could be there, but I don't think you didn't really miss anything. It is still getting up to speed.
Okay.
So I don't know where the Historical Society, Damariscotta Historical Society stands with their museum on the streets. I know they were working on one. I believe that's mentioned in the comprehensive plan. Maybe this update is that the select board has put together kind of a strategic, they prioritized what they intend to have staff work on for the first 3 years of this comp plan's life.
Okay.
And something that I think will be directly relevant, and it's not set in stone, but something that I think will be directly, so like the certified local government could move up or back. It kind of depends on funding. I mean, you're on the budget committee, so you know.
Right. That's the issue, that I get emails from the Lincoln County Regional Planning Committee about grants that are applicable out there, and I don't know whether you are in the position to apply for grants that might fund Museum of the Streets.
I mean, right now I'm stretched fairly thin.
Sure, I'm just.
And we're trying to kind of set up all of the implementation stuff, figure out what projects there might be that then we can discuss and say, yes, staff should be spending time on that and not that, and how we prioritize what we're spending time on.
If
So,
you look at the plaque on the Lincoln Theater that show, and the plaque down by the waterfront showing how the historic district was created. We already had a couple of appropriate, nice looking plaques that could be built on and added to with kind of minimal expense. That the Chamber of Commerce and the Historical Society ought to get involved with,
certainly,
because it would make a difference in terms of downtown tourism. Now we got a parking lot that's been rebuilt and a bathroom. We gotta have reasons for people walking around.
yeah, oh yeah, well, hopefully the businesses are some of those reasons, but one thing that I know, and this is just off the top of my head, because we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
Is and it's under the historic section of the comprehensive plan, is addressing the flooding and the sustainability of the buildings downtown.
Yeah, that's critical.
So that's something that's coming up, and I imagine that the historic preservation, you all will probably be interested in that, and what options there are for involvement and participate. I don't know, we're still gonna.
We want to
unpack
preserve
that
the old
still.
buildings. We don't want to have to move them.
Right, right, and I think, and to make sure that they're still functional, like one thing maybe to help, maybe there's grants to move utilities up out of the basement so that if it floods, the power doesn't go out.
Okay.
Right, or your hot water continues to work or whatever, so things like that.
Climate compliance.
Yeah, exactly, so that's something that I know is a relatively high priority for from the select board, so hoping we'll talk about that. And then there is the PPI project, which is a project that the town's working on with DOT, which is DOT basically said they want to rebuild from entirely outside of the historic district, but from the Baptist church, the top of the hill in downtown, all the way up to NC Hunt, where Main Street meets Route 1.
Business Route 1.
So DOT wants to rebuild that, so we've already started, and there's some public
It's gonna
outreach
be
that's
quite a
coming.
project.
Yes, it will, and it's not happening this year, next year. I mean, the concept stuff is now. So first we're figuring out what DOT wants to build, what the town wants, what the town's priorities are in terms of sidewalks and bike lanes and streetlights and things like that. Turning lanes and whatever.
We don't want to build sidewalks and then have them dig them up again because
Right.
they redo the road.
Well, that's the part of this is that. So as part of that, we have an Island Institute fellow, Emerson, who has been at some of the meetings.
Yeah.
And so she's taken the lead on putting together a James Walk, which is it's basically a walking tour. It's free. A lot of communities around the state do it. And we'll probably connect to some extent with the Historical Society. I'll keep you updated on.
And we could connect
happens
with the Coastal Rivers Conservation because their trails
Oh yeah,
lead to historical sites too.
that's true. That's true.
Okay,
So those are some updates. The next meeting, so our next meeting is the 27th. We just scheduled that, April
Yeah.
27th. The next meeting of the implementation committee is, I believe it is on a Tuesday.
Yeah, April 21st.
Yeah, at 2 p.m. So if it will be open to the public, ideally,
Yeah.
the implementation committee members and the like liaisons from the various boards can make it. If you can't, it's not the end of the world, obviously.
What
Yeah,
time
I'll-
is that?
I'll-
Where is that?
That is wait a second, that's not, maybe that is the next one.
I have April 21 and May.
Oh, April 21. I have
What?
April 21 at 2 p.m. here. That's a Tuesday, so you're welcome. Anybody's welcome to attend that.
okay, thank you. Anyone have any other items they want to talk about?
Well, not specifically, but I think it's this is the first application that we've had that has kind of tested our well, knowledge, but just as sort of the practical application of our role here. So I think it's kind of good for us to reflect on maybe coming out of this, what we wish we had more clarity about ourselves.
Mhm.
I think a big point is, you know, we were making suggestions, but
Yeah.
was inadvertent, but of course, beyond our, you know, really beyond our role.
And that I
Well-
say is, I appreciate the intent, because this is how me and the code enforcement officer and the planning board a lot of times will work. It's like, this probably isn't gonna meet it, but can you do this and that, and try to be helpful, but at the end of the day, if
They have-
somebody,
They have to decide what they're gonna propose.
yes,
But
then it's
but
one
we have to tell them
application,
what we're,
one decision.
Yeah.
but we have to tell them what we're concerned about.
Yes, that's totally fair,
Yeah.
say I'm concerned about this, and then they can, if they want to modify the ordinance, their application.
Yeah.
But sometimes they may be like, we're not gonna modify the application, and it's like, all right, well, we're
Right.
concerned about it, but at the end of the day, like, you know, maybe three of you say like, no, it meets the ordinance, and one of you says, no, it doesn't meet the ordinance, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
There's also the issue of waivers. I remember there's a one meeting where someone wanted to build a storage facility up on bypass Business Route 1.
Hmm.
And the requirement of the ordinance was that you have what looks like a window, but they gave them a waiver, so it didn't have to be a real window.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that's another thing, and not specifically relating to this, but it made me think of it, you know, we all bring our own perceptions of town into this. So right now, there is no ATM on Main Street. Should there just never be one on Main Street? Does renting one open the door to the next guy get one on Main Street? Does that mean that we'll just have ATMs up in the like and illumination up and down Main Street? It's just good to kind of think about.
It's like,
Oh,
the argument is, it's one thing, if it was, I thought initially it was just an ATM. I didn't realize they were also gonna put a bank there. Because if
We
you're-
have no
if
say
you're-
over that
If you're gonna do a
whatsoever.
freestanding ATM, why not put it on the side of the wall next to Columbia and Gale, where they already have out of
Right,
compliance anyway?
Yeah,
So that's something to think about.
right. But yeah, these are questions that came up, and then of course, maybe revisiting
Well, I
Main
guess we,
Street versus like facade.
are there other, I'm trying to think. What's in Booth Bay or what's in Wiscasset?
I was too, like.
Because also people are just waving their watches to make payments, but of course, you're right. His argument is that by cash, you could, like, I know the Simmons Seafood, it gives a discount for cash. I'm sure other stores do as well. So having access to cash machines makes some degree of sense.
Yeah, for sure, but I'm not
That's-
sure what that really has to do with us as much as.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And also, well, I mean, I don't think it would be just too much, I was like, you know, try not to, since we moved on from the application.
Right, yeah, unrelated to, it's
But
more, it was a
general.
springboard to thinking
So, and
about our.
I'll say, is ATMs,
Yeah.
I think are allowed. It doesn't, I don't think the ordinance says anything about ATM, this ordinance, this
Yeah.
reservation, says anything about ATM, so they're not allowed. But that doesn't mean that they have to be permitted on the fronts of buildings.
Yeah,
If it doesn't meet some other standard.
right, and
Well,
that's why I thought the life analogy of heat pumps and so forth was something.
Yeah, but so basically any of the appendages. Well, you know,
Yeah.
and so that's something, I don't think it's quite black and white in the ordinance. We can talk about, well, does it need to be made to be black and white, or
Mhm.
how do we, you know, do we need more clarity, or is this, you know,
This is
have the
where
conversation
you
and
have
come to your
Function
understanding?
to
and
interpret
then
our ordinance.
Right.
So it makes sense.
That's,
And the minutes reflect the reasoning we engaged in.
Yeah.
So.
I think as we come into more technology, it might be worth incorporating. Whatever the process would be, incorporating different language that has to do with different kinds of illumination, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't even actually know if illumination is,
I don't think it's really.
it's not even in the ordinance, but
not-
that's something that we should be considering is. You know, I mean,
I'm with,
LED, like just stuff like graphics and things and.
I think that
talking about the integrity of the building?
We are,
I mean, that's
yeah.
what it is, right?
I think
We
that's
are
what this,
seeing that, exactly, we are that.
that's what you're looking at, yeah.
But if you look at, again, not related to this application, but as a springboard, there are like integrated graphics now.
Mhm.
Where does that come into play in the ordinance as it stands?
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah, for historical.
But it-
So-
Yes, but it is,
Yeah.
I would say, within our,
And it should be,
right,
stay within that, contained in that area.
Well, and I imagine that,
That's the future.
and we can, we can read the purpose and intent of the ordinance and see if there's some guide, that doesn't necessarily mean that. There's standards that are directly applicable to what you're talking about of like new technology being integrated into the community.
like signs.
Yeah, right.
But if somebody wanted to put an illuminated sign, I would want us to have,
There is a sign.
And that's where like
yeah,
the lighting standards are like the site plan review that the planning board reviews,
Right.
lighting standards are totally a part of that.
right.
So
Yeah,
you all may, like I said, like you all may say like, no, this is perfectly fine. It fits within the historical context and it fits the ordinance, and they may say, these lights are way too bright.
right,
So-
We have an
Or the
ordinance that.
opposite.
Right, that's right.
They closed the barn door after the Damariscotta Baptist Church and the Lincoln Theater horse got out. Because no other signs of those sizes would be allowed.
Right, I think that the signs on Lincoln, on the
Lincoln Theater and the
marquee
Baptist
or-
Church, yeah.
yeah, are too big, but it's legally existing non-conforming, so
Yeah.
it's
You
fine.
know, the
Yeah.
simplest solution to this, when I think about it from Main Street. You just do an appendage off the side of the building towards Colby and Gale. You lay a cement pad on it. You have one door that services it from the back. You know, that's blocked, and they go on the side and put a little sign on the front of the building. ATM with an arrow, boom, you're done.
Yeah, well, and that is, I mean, totally fair, but that's where, we don't know what their priorities are and what they want, and not that
Not that
it kind of, exactly, you don't really have to care what their priorities are. Really, it's like, that's why I say, what are they proposing?
They bought the building,
And-
so you know that they didn't buy it because they wanted to own a real estate agency. So we know that they eventually are going to put a bank there.
Yeah,
Right, well, what I mean is like, putting any kind of, an ATM or any kind of interaction, like, of course, Main Street. People are gonna wanna put it on Main Street. Now, the ordinances may say you're not allowed to have those kinds of things on Main Street. And people will say, okay, well then our second option is either put it right inside, put it on the back, put it somewhere else. And so, and some people may say, you know what, if it's not on Main Street, then we don't want it. Some people may say, yeah, we do want it, and even though it can't be on Main Street, that's fine, we'll take the second best, which is somewhere else. But all of those decisions are kind of like, they get to
Yeah.
make depending on
Yeah.
what the ordinance says and what
sounds like we
the.
need another bank or another real estate agent.
So-
I mean,
Well,
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
yes, I will make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Thank you.
oh, when is
I
that?
hope I wasn't too vocal.
Today,
Is it?
well, we're both born in the same month. Mine was a few weeks ago.
Somebody.
What is-
Happy birthday. Let me turn that off. Stop recording.